Elevate your hatching egg shipping business with Beyond the Egg. Discover the art of premium packaging, master the details of shipping, and create an unforgettable experience for your customers. Enhance your reputation, build lasting trust, and set your business apart as the gold standard. Visit beyondtheegg.com to begin your journey to excellence.
Welcome back, poultry nerds. I'm Jennifer, and Carrie is MIA today. He is out on a delivery and didn't make it back. So I'm here with Jeanette from the Livestock Conservancy and Deborah from High Ground Farm. We had a request to discuss black Javas, and so I invited you guys here to tell us all about them. And quite honestly, I had never heard of them before. So it was news to me to get that email. So how are you guys doing today?
I'm great.
Doing great. Yeah, always happy to talk chicken.
So Jeanette is returning. She was here. We talked about turkeys. Did we talk about turkeys?
I think so.
I don't know. We went
crab cords.
We went through down some rabbit holes on your trip across Europe. I do remember that. And somehow we got off on some pigs on an Indian reservation too. Like we just totally went for the field. I remember all of that stuff. But Deborah, it's nice to meet you. Can you tell us about yourself and where you are and all that good stuff?
Sure. I live in the middle part of North Carolina and have been here for a long time. I started with Java chickens in 1999. And it all spun out of an article that was in Mother Earth News at the time about the Java chicken, which they thought was extinct, but they discovered some in the Midwest. And Garfield Farm collaborated with the Museum of, let's see, what's it called, Jeanette? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Museum of Industry.
It was Science and Industry.
Science and Industry, yeah.
It's right, yeah. I always get it mixed up. And I became involved with that project and got lots of Java chicks from them and have kept closed flock since. I still have them. They're lovely. They're just a wonderful breed. I had chickens before that, but there's nothing that compares in my mind. They're the best for me.
I'm looking at a picture of them in the Standard of Perfection, and honestly, they look a lot like a black Orpington.
Yes, it's similar. Jeanette, you can speak on this as well, but from my understanding, they were one of the original chickens brought in from Asia. Not sure exactly of the origin, but there are people that think that probably from the Isle of Java, but can't be certain about that. But probably the early 1800s, perhaps earlier. Go ahead.
And we're not really sure what the connection is to Asia. The thing about the Java compared to the Orpington is there's a big difference in their profile. And Javas have the longest back of the American class. And so if you look at them in an Orpington, side profiles, the Javas, you'll just see these super long backs and they look completely different. And they also have different leg color, and there's some other differences too. But the Javas, they're our second oldest American breed. The only animal that's been recorded earlier than the Javas is the Dominique chicken. And they've been around for a long time. They say as early as 1835, but they think that they could have been around even longer than that. So they've really got a connection with American history here.
Yes, I think that's a very good point. And for me, as a homesteader or homestead life liver, the non-aggression, particularly of the roosters, and the docileness of the hens, and the hens of nurturing, just innate personalities, just makes them such a nice bird to have around.
Yeah, that's important for homesteaders.
I agree. And this is my hypothesis, certainly nothing to prove it, but I believe that because they were around the house and probably free ranging for a long time, the ones that were aggressive just made it to the table and they were naturally weeded out. I've had Javas, of course, all this time, and I've kept as many as 6 or 7 roosters at a time. I have never had an aggressive rooster. I should knock on wood somewhere, and they have great long spurs. They defend their flock. They're vigilant with their flock, but not with humans. I've just not seen that in mine anyway.
Why do you think they're on the endangered list? Because that's where they are, right?
Yeah, they're critically endangered right now. And the last census we did, we found only 327 breeding birds in the U.S. And a lot of that has to do with the Museum of Science and Industry getting out of Javas, because they used to produce a lot of, because they had the incubator that people could watch chicks being hatched at the museum. And when they stopped that, that really put a dent in Java populations. Because prior to that, the census we did in 2015, we actually had found almost 2,000 breeding birds out there. And then it plummeted to 327 after that. It goes to show you that when you put most of your eggs in one basket, if that basket disappears, a breed can get in big trouble quick.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate, but there's some living history museums now that are interested in having breeding groups, and that's me excited because that not only helps create new breeding groups, but it exposes the breed to new audience that maybe had never heard of them before. So that's really exciting.
Yes, I believe raising awareness and just getting the name out there and the dire situation they're in will really help. There was a time that I was involved in selling eggs and other produce to Whole Foods Market, and just talking about Javas and just making people aware of their plight and their role in history, I think is beneficial. So anything we can do to raise awareness, I believe, is important. Back to I'm sorry, go ahead. There's a
I was
delay.
going to say, and it's thanks to Deborah, we were able to get Old World, Wisconsin, a start in Javas. And I drove all the way to Nashville, and the Wisconsin folks drove down to Nashville to meet me to get a bunch of chicks that we had hatched out from Deborah's eggs. And they're super excited about the Java. And in their gift shop, they have a custom developed Java chicken stuffy that they sell. Oh, it's quite cute. Even has correct leg color.
Of course. Of course. Yes, of course. I think, the interest, like the American Java Club, there's a lot of interest there. I get lots of questions from them and people, of course, that want hatching eggs. And so every time a group hatches eggs, there's a celebration that they have expanded the numbers a bit. But back to your question, Jennifer, about why they fell out of favor. I think there's multiple reasons. And one is that they grow very slowly. Other chickens are mature and ready for the table at about 6 to 8 weeks. And Javas are a fraction of that weight. They just grow very slowly. And then also they have black feathers, and they're very difficult to remove for selling the meat because the pin feathers, of course, remain and look dark, and people don't like that. So I think there's reasons that it fell out of favor with industrialized chicken production.
So I raise standard Orpingtons. So we're looking at 9-10 months for them to be roughly full size. Is that about the same for the Javas?
Probably, yes. They start laying at about 24 weeks, maybe 26 weeks, in contrast to some of the more mainstream birds that might be laying at 20. And then table size, if you were growing them for meat, I would guess, yes, probably 9 or 10 months old. What would you think, Jeanette?
It depends what meat product you want, because you can butcher them at any age, but you need to ask yourself, do you want a fryer? Do you want a roaster? Do you want a broiler? So it depends. Typically, I find with the slower growing birds that if you want a fryer, which you can cook with a higher heat methods, you could probably get a fryer by about 14 weeks. Then if you want to get a nice table bird like a broiler or a roaster, now you're talking 18 to 20 weeks, and the roaster may be a bit later. I think that the Java roosters really come into their own after they're a year old, maybe by the time they're 2 years old. And the thing that I've found really fascinating is, at least in Deborah's hands, they're pretty long-lived.
They are.
And they're productive very long too.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go to our website and go to our Java page, you'll see a picture of one of her beautiful roosters. And I think he was probably 4 or 5 years old when I took that picture. And he still looks like a cockerel. He just looks beautiful, nicely fleshed out. And you'll see that super long back that they have.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing that's been a bit of a challenge with Javas is the APA recognizes only 2 color varieties, the black and the mottled. But people like to play with color, and a lot of times you'll get white sports or what we call auburn sports. And dang, if the whites aren't like the biggest ones, it's always those off-color birds that are end up being the biggest. But they're not APA varieties. And for the Conservancy's work, we really concentrate on the black and the mottled. And the black in particular is challenging because people, again, color, and so they migrate towards the mottled more, which leaves the black Java the back feet, because, as Deborah said, cleaning them when you're processing can be a bit challenging if they've got black pin feathers. The funny thing is, back in the day before industrialization, people with black chickens would boast about how clean their carcasses because they were black chickens, and they wanted to ensure their customers that they were beautifully dressed and that they took pride in making a beautiful table bird with these black feathered birds. But the mottleds definitely are doing better than the black Javas. And I was able to encourage Old World Wisconsin to concentrate on the black variety since there's not a ton of folk. But I will say the Facebook group that Deborah had mentioned, the Java Breeders of America, there are nearly 600 people in that group.
We'll be right back.
Looking to rock some seriously comfy gear? If you love chickens and you're all about that fun style, then Chicken Box has got the perfect t-shirts for you. From quirky designs to classic looks, their shirts are as comfy as us chicken tenders deserve. They even have a subscription service so your coop doesn't get bored. Head over to PoultryNerdsPodcast.com and click on Chicken Box to get your comfy shirts and support the podcast.
Oh, yes, it's
something's
huge interest.
happening.
Huge interest. Yeah, and they all,
Yes.
when they hatch eggs, they all show their chicks and boast on how many they hatched and how they look and all. So I'm real pleased. I've met some lovely people there that now we talk on the phone now. So it's a great outreach and a great way to raise awareness about the Java chicken.
Yeah, it would be nice to see more on the show side of things, because I go to some of the bigger poultry shows in the U.S. and you don't see that many Javas. And
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want
to
to.
garner interest even more, I think it would be helpful if we could get some really good quality Javas on the show floor.
Yes, the first, maybe the second year that I had them, I entered them into the North Carolina State Fair. And of course, won all the ribbons, of course, because they were the only Javas there. But after that, I became quite worried about them picking up some disease, and so did not take them back. And I think that for me, because I take biosecurity quite seriously, that for me has been a barrier. Perhaps in the future, that'll be something that they'll have some strategies to work around that issue.
So tell me about the Breed Club. How active and open is that?
Do you mean on Facebook?
Just tell me, is there a Breed Club?
Yes, there's what did you call it, Jeanette? Java?
That was the Facebook group. I don't think there's an actual APA sanctioned club.
I don't think so either.
Facebook group is the next best thing, and seems to be a very active community there.
Yes.
So one of the things I'm looking at in the SOP is they have black shanks, but they have yellow feet. that
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yes. So they have lovely black tops. The legs are black, the skin, and then the tops of the feet are black, and the toenails are black. But then underneath, when you turn it over, the soles of the feet are yellow.
How hard is that as a breeder to maintain that?
It's tricky.
Mhm.
And I'm always looking at feet. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then there'll be one that pops up that's a little pink, and you think, where did that come from? So then that one is set aside as a laying hen, and I won't breed her. So I've run into interesting things through the year. I've had out of the black Java, the solid black Java, I had 2 white ones, solid white ones appear. I've had no models. I had a couple of Auburns, but that was unusual. Their feathers were black, but had just a little bit of a red sheen to those. So I gave those to a friend for laying hens. So yes, as a breeder, you have to always be aware and quickly to separate and choose which ones to breed. Jeanette has been out several times now to help me go through the flock and choose which ones are best. But back to your point, Jeanette, about how long they live, I've had one or two live to be 12 years old. And they still lay an occasional egg. And I had roosters as old as 7 or 8. So they're really a hardy breed.
They're really a great utility breed.
The reason why I asked about the yellow feet is I was raising cochins for a while, and it was hard to maintain that yellow skin with the black pigment always wanting to come in. Is that maybe a reason why the breeders are shying away from it, just for the difficulty?
I can't speak to that. I don't know. Jeanette, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a solid black bird, and the trends that I've seen, people like color and they like something different. And it's really put into jeopardy a lot of these solid colored birds. The thing is, the blacks, when the sun hits them, like a rainbow, it's just so beautiful to see these birds in the sunlight. And you can see some of that green sheen coming through on our webpage. It's just really stunning. And it's not a flat black. It's got that iridescent green to it that's just spectacular. Think of Cayuga ducks. They're just beautiful and I think really underrated. And that may be one of the reasons why there are no hatcheries that, offer Javas, just because they're busy selling rainbow layers and real color chickens and stuff that makes your eyes pop. But there's something to be said for a solid black bird with the green sheen. They're just spectacular. And one thing I wanted to mention before it jumps out of my head, we're still on the lookout for old lines of Javas. And we actually managed to find a lady out in, I think it was South Dakota, the Mrs. Schuschler, who happened to fall under our radar when we were doing a census, and she had no idea Javas were rare because her family had Javas since before World War II, and they just always had them. And she was very kind enough to share some hatching eggs with us so that we could get the birds into some other hands. And it wasn't long after that we hatched out the chicks and put them into other hands that I got a phone call from her one day, and she said they're all gone. And she had a predator come in and killed all her chickens.
Oh, how horrible.
And it was awful. But because we hatched a whole bunch here in North Carolina, we could go back to the people that we gave the chicks to, and we actually were able to send eggs back to Mrs. Schuschler. And Deb, maybe you can fill in some of the gaps because you were trying to track down her chickens, and I think you managed to find some more, didn't you?
No, that was a different line. This was a
Okay.
line. I was trying to find the line of mottled Javas that were at the College of Agriculture there in Pittsburgh back years ago.
Yeah.
Because I love them. They were so big and so the
Those
personality.
were the Schuschler birds.
No, I was told it was Eileen Jensen.
Oh gosh. Sorry.
Okay. So I talked to Hillary who was the farm manager at the time that I got them from the college. And she said they were from Eileen Jensen in the Midwest. So I found her and talked to her on the phone multiple times. We had hour-long conversations. She's in her 80s. Her husband had passed away, and she could no longer manage the flock. So she sold them to various neighbors and to Ideal Nursery.
Mhm.
So that's where I went down the rabbit hole looking for them and found some. I called all the neighbors. I called the hatcheries. She wasn't 100% sure of the name of the hatchery, so I had to call multiple hatcheries and did get some, but they were not the same. They were not the same, and I was very unhappy with them.
Yeah. And the latest census we did showed none of the hatcheries had them. So that plot were gone.
Yes. And then back to their sheen, I have to comment. I've read that the sheen of the green on the black feathers as emerald beetle green, like a June bug would have that shine. And I think it is very much like that. Their feathers are beautiful, and the roosters, they grow these very long tail feathers at the top that flutter in the wind. They're quite beautiful birds. So I think I have some posted maybe on my website. If not, my blog. If not, I'll post some of the most recent ones so you can see them. But they're just incredibly photogenic. The pictures always turn out nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to get into them, who would they contact?
I think reaching out to the Java group would be a good start. We do have an online breeders and products directory, so you might be able to find breeders through that. But if there aren't any that are close to you on that directory, then I would definitely reach out to the Facebook group and put a post you're looking for them in a certain area. And you might be lucky enough to find somebody that's working with them. I would say that the biggest thing is have patience. They're critically endangered. So they're not easy to come by. And it may be that you try and make arrangements in the fall or the winter to try and get hatching eggs in the spring. I would suggest starting in the fall,
Yes.
just to make sure that everything lined up, because there is increasing interest, but they're still critically endangered. So very hard to come by. And if you really want them, just know you may have to travel to get them.
Listening to you guys talk about them, it sounds like there's maybe only a handful of lines in the whole United States.
I don't know
Yeah,
how many.
there's
No.
Yeah, we haven't done a comprehensive census of bloodlines in a long time. We are taking on a new census in 2026. The Conservancy is committed to doing a census of poultry every 5 years. And it's every 5 years because it's a bear of a project to try and get done, because there are no registries and you've got to work through networks of people to try and reach the folks that you need to be reaching out to. This upcoming census, we're actually developing a team of people within the APA community. And what I'm trying to do is line up people that expertise in a certain class of chickens. Like I've got somebody that is a very active Asiatic breeder, and she does shamos. And when you're breeding within a certain class, you get to know who's got what and who's doing what. And I've got someone for the English class and a person for waterfowl, and I'm continuing to look for people within the other classes. We can all tackle it together and fully get most comprehensive census that we will have to date. But again, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I'm pleased to say the APA let us officially form an APA sanctioned committee for census. So they've put their backing behind the effort. And the important thing about census is it guides conservation efforts for the next 5 years. And the census helps us to identify what breeds or what color varieties are in big trouble. And we try to bring awareness so that people that maybe they didn't know that black Javas were becoming really rare. We've discovered in our last census that we've actually lost a bunch of color varieties within breeds just because no one's kept up with it. Yeah, and we're looking forward to the census, and we already have a sponsor for it. For folks that are out there and have breeding flocks, keep your eyes open for the notification that the census is on. We'll probably launch it next February, and it'll probably carry on for 4 to 6 months. And then we'll compile all the data, and we usually publish it with APA and on our website. And anybody who will listen to us, we will talk about census numbers. Really important work coming up for poultry.
That sounds good. Deborah, do you want to tell us about your website and your blog and anything else you have going on?
The blog is sadly neglected, but it has been going on for about 10 years. So you can go back and read some of the archival pieces that I started at the beginning, it's about the farm. So there's various things going on here. Java chickens are a big part of it. It's all part of sustainable living and preservation for me. The house that I live in and where we live was built in 1840. So it's on the National Registry. So that's part of preserving architecture and history. The livestock, not all, is in the Conservancy, but the Java chickens certainly are. But I also have Angora goats just because I adore them. And I spin the wool and make things out of that. So I have connections with textile artists and that kind of thing. I have tours here and I have events and things. And I'm always talking about Java chickens. I'm always talking up Java chickens. And so people are always so interested. I think that's a critical piece, again, I mentioned before, of raising awareness and talking about what wonderful homestead birds they are and how they're part of our history. So the blog is highgroundfarm.com. So you can see it there. It's through the years become a bit different, but people would be able to see chicks and so forth there. And of course, there's a Facebook page for High Ground Farm. And then there's a personal page, Facebook page for Deborah Underwood Brown. And then there's Instagram, of course, High Ground Farmer. But all of these are just chronicling the goings on here. But Java chickens certainly are a huge part of it.
And do you sell eggs and birds?
I do. Again, the ones that are not breed standard, I sell as just regular laying hens. And people are just honored to get them. And I think when they know the history and they know the numbers are so rare, I think it makes them feel quite honored to take care of them. And they're stewards of the breed. So yes, I do. And I sell hatching eggs if people are interested. I keep a running list of people that want them. And it's an ongoing thing to try to hang on to this beautiful breed.
Deborah, you do have to mention your artwork. Deborah's quite the artist. And she done some beautiful paintings.
I do paint trees, a lot of trees, but I also paint Java chickens. So I have note cards of things like Java chickens decorating their Christmas trees. And it takes some imagination because I had to go down to the barn and look at them and sketch their faces and so forth. But then I had to figure out what kind of a tree would a Java chicken have and what kind of decorations would they put on that tree. So that's what I'm doing. But anyway, so they're Christmas cards with Java chickens and there's Java chickens. I wrote a book, actually, if I can find a way to publish the thing, a children's book, and all the watercolor paintings, of course, are original. I just paint the things I like. And sometimes other people like them too.
If we hang ornaments in the shape of chickens, then chickens would hang ornaments in the shape of people.
I don't know about that. Sometimes I don't think they like me at all. But they did. I decided they would hang ornaments of food because chickens are so food oriented. So they did ornaments of little vegetables and little fruits and things like that. That's what their ornaments ended up being. But maybe I should do little people. You're right. Maybe I should.
That sounds awesome. It sounds like you have a nice little farm going on.
It's just a way of life. I've lived this way for 50 years. I just came out of the closet just about 30 years ago because I was in medicine and I would be in the middle of some big academic thing And people would be talking about what they did the weekend and how they went to the mall and they did this and that. And I'd say, you won't believe it. I was able to spin, and I would tell them what I was spinning on the wheel and what I did on the farm. And they thought I was insane, and they would just drift away from me. But about 20 years ago, I became really in. And my sons were like, oh, Mom, this is so cool. Tell me. And their friends would come over and they'd say, we can't believe you do this stuff. It was very hip. And so all of a sudden I can talk about it, and it's cool, but it didn't used to be. It wasn't cool in the 90s, but it is an interesting way of life. But I've lived this way a very long time. So
Do you eat your birds?
we do, if I can help. I can't process them myself. I just can't. So if I can get somebody else to do that for me, yes, absolutely. They make lovely. It makes a lovely broth. There is no broth like it to cook a chicken very long, and it makes a kind of a gelatinous, thick, gelatinous, rich chicken broth. It's great.
Awesome. All right. I have thoroughly enjoyed this, ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
I've enjoyed it too. I'm sorry that the camera didn't work, but you might find a little picture of me somewhere on Facebook. I usually avoid the camera, so
That's all right. We just post the audio anyway.
cool.
All right. Until
And
next
you
time.
could,
Sure, Jeanette
and-
will be again.
and for folks, if they want to learn more about Javas, livestockconservancy.org. We do have an extensive Java page, and you can see one of Deborah's beautiful Java roosters there and learn what we do about rare breeds, because the black Java is one among almost 200
Yes.
breeds that we work
Yes.
with.
Yes. And I must say this before we finish. The Livestock Conservancy has been just a huge help for me. I found out, when did it start? In the 70s, Jeanette? I found out about it.
77, right after the
Yeah.
bicentennial.
Yes, I found out about it in the late 70s and became a member. And just through the years, they have just been just a huge advocate and instrumental in me growing and learning about this. So I just urge people to check out that website and be a member so they can be a part of it. It's critical, I think.
All right, then. I'm a member.
Cool.
Step. All right. Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you for asking me. Nice to see you, Jeanette. Good
Same
to meet
here.
you.
If I could see you, but I can hear you.
I understand. No worries. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can receive new episodes right when they are released. And they're released every week. Feel free to email us at poultrynerds@gmail.com to share your thoughts about the show. Until next time, Poultry Pals, keep clucking, keep learning, and keep it exciting. This is Carrie signing off from Poultry Nerds. Feathers up, everyone.